Sometimes men take matters into their own hands.
Ago, a friend of mine asked me to say some MC rhyme, so I said this rhyme. I'm about to say.
And esteem that I stand before you today. My name is Shamar Lawrence, the student body president of Roosevelt High School. And of course, I am also a My Brothers Keeper participant here at Roosevelt High School. Roosevelt High School welcomes you to this amazing forum. We welcome all of our dignitaries, board members, and schools in attendance. The schools include Roosevelt Middle School. Can I hear Roosevelt Middle School? The High School for Community and Youth Development. Longwood School District. Hempstead High School. Westbury High School. Freeport High School. And lastly, Central Iceland High School. This event was organized to spark a discussion and to analyze the intersection of race, education, and hip-hop in America. In the event of an emergency, please locate the clearly marked exit sign nearest to you. Treat this with the same respect and diligence as you would any Broadway production. Once again, thank you for joining us here at Roosevelt High School for My Brothers Keeper event. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy this program. And without further ado, I will welcome our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Hazelton.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope you all are as excited as I am. We have two iconic figures here with us this morning to talk about what is important to you, the youth. But in particular, we are targeting young black and brown boys through My Brothers Keeper. So it is my humble honor to thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we continue, I would like to thank all of our invited guests, all of the schools that are joining us today. We're here with our Board of Education, Trustee Rose Bashir, Trustee Susan Gooding, any other board trustees? Thank you for your continued support, and also thank you for our invited guests. DMC from the legendary group Run DMC. Roosevelt's own Mr. Chuck D from the legendary group Covenant. Two rock and roll Hall of Famers. When we first started to put this event together, someone said to me, "Yeah, I heard you got some rapper." I was like, "Some rapper? Not some rapper." These are iconic figures in their communities, in the world of art and music. They are both artists, authors, Before Kanye had Weezy's and Rihanna had Fenty, and before Kim Kardashian, Run DMC walked across stages wearing Adidas. So you have to know your history, appreciate and honor the legends while they're still alive. And so with that, thank you all for joining us, and I hope that you will enjoy this very important discussion today. Thank you.
Listening to songs, my students were hooked on both Hamilton the Man and Hamilton the Musical. Working closely alongside our music department, we've been able to create our own remix to the hit song, My Shot. This song is perfect to kick off this event since the themes present align with the mission of today, connecting race, education, and hip-hop in America.
So one day I'ma get in the Princeton, me and my colleges winning, I sell my focus. People justice still over the city. All the people rapists, haha, into that city. Yeah.
do it right now. Right now. Okay, listen, so. This beat is my side. Get this girl right. Alright? Now take it back.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome. Good morning and welcome. Let me just quickly address the elephant in the room. When the planners of the event put this together, the issue came up, how do the students know DMC and Chuck D? And clearly, you guys know them, right? Yeah. Right? All right. So now that we've addressed that, let's move on. All the individuals who are prepping to get you here, we're welcoming all the districts, our school board members, and distinguished guests. All of those people are educators responsible for getting you here for this event. And you'll find that educators have many layers to them, to them besides what they offer you in the classroom, your guidance counselors, your administrators, district administrators, and so forth. Our moderator today has many, many facets to her. She is an artist in her own right, a civic activist, locally and abroad, and currently serves as our director of grants and funded programs. I'm here to introduce her, but let me just say, my name is Spencer Dolce. Sorry about that. Project director for My Brothers Keeper here in Louisville. Jump ahead of myself. So with so you found out some information about DMC and Chuck D, and isn't that what African American History Month is about? Exposing our young people to our history, to what we are great, those things that we are great for, significant contributions to society. Every day, starting on February 1st, our principal here in the high school has shared information about African Americans who have made contributions to society. Every day, new information for our students. Now back to the introduction. Let's give a warm welcome to our moderator for today, Dr. Michelle Rivers.
Everyone. Good morning. So we were fortunate to be awarded the My Brothers Keeper grant through the New York State Education Department. It is a 4-year grant, and we were awarded almost $600,000 over a 4-year period. So we're super excited about that. And we're so proud to have our MBK partners here from Longwood, Hempstead High School. Shout out to them. Come on, Freeport. Yeah, y'all here? Yeah. So I have some co-moderators that will be working with me today. 2 fabulous young men that are seniors here at the Roosevelt High School. And I am going to introduce them. They will introduce our guest speakers today. And we're going to start a discussion, and hopefully at the end of that discussion you all have some questions to ask our speakers. We have question cards out in the audience for anyone that will have questions at the end of the program, and we're going to wrap it up. So I want to bring to the mic Mr. Xavier Bermudez, a senior and a Smart Scholar in MBK participant.
Too strong.
As the founder of Public Enemy, Chuck D is one of the most colossal figures in the history of hip-hop. Not to mention, is the most respected intellectual. He redefined hip-hop as music with a message, and his strident... I'm new to this, okay?
It's okay.
and his strident radicalism ushered in an era where rap was closely scrutinized for its content. Although rap's primary concerns have changed over the years, its status as America's most controversial art form has only gotten stronger since Public Enemy hit the scene. Chuck D was born Carlton Douglas Ridenhour in Roosevelt, Long Island on August 1st, 1960. His parents were both political activists, and he was a highly intelligent student during, turning down an architecture scholarship to study graphic design at Long Island's Adelphi University. It's a great college, by the way, I've been there a few times. While in school, he put his talents to use making promotional flyers for hip-hop events and went to co-host a hip-hop mix show on the campus radio station with two future Public Enemy cohorts, Bill Stepney and Hank Shockley. Under the name Chuck D, he rapped on Shockley's demo recording Public Enemy No. 1. It's a good song, by the way, you should guys go listen to it. Which caught the interest of Rick Rubin at Def Jam. In response, the new simply named Chuck D assembled Public Enemy, a group designed to support the force of his rhetoric with noisy, nearly avant-garde soundscapes. Chuck D is an author and an entrepreneur in graphic design and industry pioneer. Please join me in welcoming Chuck D to the stage.
I'm going to bring my second co-moderator up, Mr. Devontae Combs.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. You sound a little tired. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Daryl DMC Matthews McDaniels was born May 31st, 1964 in New York City. The youngest of two boys, McDaniels grew up in the middle-class Queens neighborhood of Hollis, home also to the future Run DMC mates Joseph Run Simmons and Jason Jam Master J. Mizzle. The trio revolutionized rap and propelled into a mainstream culture. As a solo artist, McDaniels has continued to tour and make music. In 1983, Run DMC signed with Profile Records and collected a $2,500 advance. The group hit it big with his first single, It's Like That, Sucker MCs. The song peaked at number 15 on the R&B charts and helped pave the way for the band's self-titled group and album in 1984. I put together a little introduction for you, Mr. DMC. He's DMC and a place to be. He went to St. John's University. And since kindergarten, he acquired the knowledge. And after 12th grade, he went straight to college. He's light skinned. He come from Queens. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DMC.
We're gonna tag team you, gentlemen. Welcome, come on. Let's give them a round of applause. Please.
One, two, 1, 2.
Yes.
All right. So recently, discrimination, bias, and prejudice has become more heightened in our country. Our discussion for today is around on the topic, the intersection of race, education, and hip-hop in America today. Hip-hop is often vilified, and racism is ignored, and education is underfunded. We know that the U.S. spends more money on prisons, on wars, and on weapons of mass destruction than they do on education. What are your thoughts on this and the impact it has on education, especially for Black and brown students that we get here today?
First of all, greetings.
This is a joy, just seeing your faces. It's a joy being in this building that I've been seeing for like the last 50 years. When I first came to Roosevelt in 1969, this was a state-of-the-art school. It's a state-of-the-art school again. And y'all should be very proud, as we, the community, are proud of y'all. Yeah. Roosevelt. And I'm telling you, you know, there's always something in the water from this town, but there's something in the blood of y'all that's just unbelievable. So, congratulations and a salute out to the crew that just opened this up for us. Y'all were fantastic, really. And also Mr. Abel, who's a legend. That man right there is the key to a lot of freedom of being able to be liberated in your mind, body, and your soul. Because I think, no, for real, music liberates people. And music is the best teacher when it's actually interactive. When y'all allowed to do music and be taught music, I believe that if they had culture classes and music classes, as much as we have you need your science, you need your math, definitely. Yep. And you definitely need your writing and your reading, because they got to be their solid foundations in life. But without them, you don't stand a chance. So we can never laugh at that person that's spending their time with language. And if you're able to have 2 languages, it's incredible, because that'll take you around the world. And the skill set, I think, is wonderful. But when you accent it with culture and music, it liberates you with the language of the world. The world is culture. Right. So right here at Roosevelt High School, don't laugh at the fact that culture is the thing that will set you free. So I think with all these things in society, if a person is allowed to be interactive with their music and their art and encouraged, that's a fantastic thing. You know, we all love sports, and ESPN got about 9 channels on TV talking about the same game. That's fantastic, the sports team, the football, the basketball. But how about the theater? How about a studio inside the school? How about a school radio station? So students could be interactive and not just follow what could be crap on Power 106 and 97. I hate to be like, you know, offensive towards that. But I think y'all better than that, where older people are supposed to be responsible on the radio to let younger people, you know, be able to pick up some inspiration. Let them do their thing instead of somebody always programming them. So I think right here in the core of school, if you open up culture, this thing where people always got to be pressured to buy or sell it and all. It should be organic. And I think right here at the school systems and in Roosevelt, if you let students get open to culture, and people like Frank Abel is a person that should run the curriculum alongside education. You have culture, and that makes us better people, in my opinion.
Just to add to that for y'all, as young people, you'll need to understand something. Education is everything. And what I mean by that is, it's not just what you get here in the walls of the school. Look at it like this. All education is information. It's what you get from a textbook, it's what you get from a workbook, it's what you get from what you see in TV, it's what you get from what you read, it's from the movies. But more importantly, education is also information that you get from the elders. When I was young, like y'all, and a lot of young people, even my mother and father, a lot of young people think the old people don't know anything. But what you forget is we was once young too. For the elders, the older folks that are fortunate to be here, we've experienced things that y'all are going through. Except it's a little different. For us, we had to work a little harder to get education or to get information. Y'all got it at your fingertips with the internet and the iPhones and all that. But when I had to go seek out information and education, we had to read the encyclopedia. We had to pick up the dictionary. So we had to work for our so-called power. And y'all need to understand what hip hop is utilizing, take advantage of every educational, informational, creative opportunity that comes your way, because those are the things that lead you to your fortune. Those are the things that will empower you. Now, to make you understand all of this school stuff, I want y'all to understand that school is just practice. And you might say, practice for what, DMC? Whether you know it or not, school is practice to prepare you for whatever it is that you're going to be doing. Rules, regulations, like Chuck D said, reading and writing, all of that. It's preparing you for whatever you're going to be. CEO, doctor, lawyer, performer, educator, it doesn't matter. So when we was your age, when I say we was your age, we were just like you. Same conditions, gang banging, death, destruction, darkness, and despair. But we had two advantages that we realized was important to advance us in our survival. We knew that education was important so we can understand what the hell is going on. And then secondly, don't ever say, I don't have anything. Because everything that you need to be successful is inside of you already. We were just young brothers and sisters in the midst of death, destruction, and despair that said, yo, there's some beautiful music inside of us. There's some beautiful language inside of us. There's some beautiful style inside of us. There's some beautiful dance inside of us. There's some beautiful arts inside of us. And we didn't make excuses. So when you're sitting in here in school, the things that they teach you in school should encourage you to go home by yourself and pick up a book. Go home by yourself and watch a documentary. Go home by yourself and ask the elders who are around you, your aunts, your uncles, your grandmothers, your grandfather, what was it like when you was young? What do you think like this? Because to tell you the truth, hip-hop isn't just about the rappers. Hip-hop is about all of us collectively educating, empowering ourselves with information. And me being one of the greatest rappers ever, King of Rock, let me just sum it up like this to you. Education is just information. When you receive that information, it becomes education, and then, and only then, there is a transformation. I stand before you not better than you or smarter than you, or even more talented than you. Me and Chuck D, we are examples of what happens when you take advantage of every educational, informational, creative opportunity that comes your way.
Okay. So it's interesting that you talk about how hip-hop and culture are relatable. So now my question is, does hip-hop influence the culture, or does culture influence hip-hop?
That's a good question. I'm here because of this man, because when I was able to get out of school, I went to Delphi to get my degree. And I did a radio station. We did radio shows with music. And we were fortunate when this man just barely got out of high school. Run DMC started out and saw what we were doing at the college as being something that was great for hip hop and great for them. The culture is always influenced by society and what it is. Unfortunately, we have a person at the time who's the head of the country right now, who's not a great example for leadership anywhere in the world. When the rest of the world is looking at the United States of America like, y'all got a problem. And y'all in high school looking at this as being the standard, it can influence influenced the culture. Out of that influence, people started making songs about anything. Or matter of fact, you know, once upon a time it was about hip-hop songs. Today, music is sight, it's music and hearing, it's style, the way people dress, and it's also the story that people are about. That's all a hip-hop. It's not just a song anymore. When you're on Instagram, you're putting pictures out. I mean, you're all on Instagram, hands in the air, right? Or should I say phones in the air if you have it. So these influences go back and forth. What you gotta start understanding is like, who's in charge of making something, as they say, green light, meaning it's okay to hear it on the radio? Who's in charge of that? Because pretty much, if you make a song or whatever's bothering you, if it turns into a song, you could probably do better than what you hear, but who's giving you a shot to be heard amongst a lot of people? So we're at a time right now where hip-hop is influencing the culture, but also the culture influences hip-hop back and forth. That's a problem because you have to say, who is in charge? Who's minding the store? Who actually gives people a shot? Who doesn't give people a shot? What you want to rely on is your reality. Your reality is everyday people that you see in front of your face. Maybe not somebody that you ever see through the phone. Maybe not somebody that you never met, but you're affected by what they say. There's a lot of bullying going on right about now. You have to be able to be in your own world and look at people in your own life every day to try to make you look at your phone as something second, it's not first, it's primary. So is influence in the hip hop or culture? The influence now is what's in that phone, what's in that social media. You gotta be on top of it, and if you're not on top of it, it will be on top of you. So understand, and then also, there's nothing that somebody can't answer. Once upon a time, when we went to school, we could say things like, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I ain't got the answer to that. Everybody got a computer in their pocket now. You can look up the answer to anything. And that doesn't mean that's the answer, you just gotta challenge it. And that's what school does. It makes you challenge the information that's coming at you. So the influences might not be in hip hop anymore. It might be in the culture, but the culture is influenced by how everybody's connected to each other on social media.
Yes. And it's not like, I tell a lot of people, young people who want to be hip hop or get into hip hop. It's not being, and I hate the word game, it's not a damn game. It's a lifestyle. And all the negative stuff that dominates our culture of hip hop. For me, it's not about just freedom of speech and censorship. As an artist, singer, painter, poet, you can write and make movies about whatever you want to make. But for me, as being somebody who was blessed by the hip hop culture since I was 8 years old, there's a lot of issues for me that deal with homicide and genocide. A lot of the dominant issues are destroying our young people, are destroying our culture. So for me, it's not about being part of the game. I hate the game word. But it's about what could you do to influence it. So I'm just an example of a little kid growing up in New York City. And like I said earlier, same problems that y'all go through: bullying, gangbanging, house robbing, drugs, all of that stuff. Sex abuse, drug abuse, substance abuse, all of that was there. So for me, when I came into hip hop, the main influence, especially as it is now, is about this negative stuff in the street is your only way out, or it's the only thing that makes you strong and powerful. That was the whole influence of it. And like Chuck D said, Trump is an example of what's going on in America. For you young people in here, negativity is a false sense of power. Being disrespectful, being ignorant, and that word ignorant offends a lot of young people. Man, you ignorant. Look at that word, look at the way it sounds, you ignorant. It's not about you, there's nothing wrong with you, you perfect. You just need to wake up and realize your potential. but you're ignoring the truth. So how do you influence culture? How can you influence the culture? It's like Chuck D said, who is okaying all of the garbage and stuff like that? But you gotta realize that you have power. For me, my power was the very idea of hip hop. I never was in a gang. I never went to jail. I don't want to go to jail because I like my freedom. I keep it real with y'all. I don't want to get shot because it hurts. I'm 54 years old. I'm going to be straight up with you young folks. But for me at the time, I thought I had no power. These guys got guns, they got knives, this and that. I'm a straight A kid. I go to school, but then hip hop gave me a voice. Hip hop gave me a voice to let the world know everything that everybody thought was wasn't cool about me is the coolest thing on the face of the earth. An example that I could give you is this. I was a straight A student. I loved school. I loved to go there. And not from the fact that it was people telling me you need to get an education. I just saw some value in that information. So just me for desiring to have knowledge so I could know something for me, but maybe one day it's going to help me. My mother thought I was crazy. She would take me to the dentist. You know how in the dentist they got a wall full of pamphlets? A lot of us, y'all don't even let, I would sit there and read all the pamphlets about tooth decay and all of that stuff. Because I said, one day I might have to know something about all this. And the other thing that was with me, it's kind of cool now. You can ask your mothers and fathers and grandfathers. When I was younger, I was a straight A student who went to Catholic school that wore glasses. And I got teased, picked on, and bullied about wearing glasses. Hey, 4-eyes, hey, spectacles, hey, binoculars. You know what I'm saying? But then when I got on the microphone with hip hop, I started remembering, okay, this dude was teasing me about being a bookworm and all that. So like the young man that introduced me, I had to let him know I'm DMC and the place to be. I go to St. John's University, and since kindergarten I acquired the knowledge. After 12th grade I went straight to college. I spoke those words about because I was proud about who I was. And by me being confident about that, the same way these rappers can talk about taking drugs, having sex, and being disrespectful with that ego and attitude. I took a positive outlook on it, and just by me speaking, and you know what happened? I'm 18 years old in my hood, selling drugs, shooting and all that. They came to me like, it was like, yo, Daryl, man, how the hell do you got a Mercedes-Benz, a big gold chain, Kangols, Gazelle, and Adidas, and you go to school? You go to St. John's University. That was an influence. And I told him, man, since kindergarten, man, straight A student, this and that, boom, bang, always did my homework. When I didn't know that, I'm 54 years old. People, I go to places and I do this. He said, what are you doing there for? Because I have a question for you. I have a question because you received the information. But those dudes that saw me doing that the way that I was doing it because I was proud and not ashamed of it, a couple of those young brothers, not all of them, a couple of them went back to the corner, but a couple of those brothers said, yo, I don't need a gun. I don't need to sell drugs to be that. And a couple of those dudes said, yo, D, I was ignorant. I was ignorant to what all this was about. So they said, yo, you went to college when you graduated from high school. They said, just to be complete. I got my shell toes, I got my Pumas, I got my Adidas, I got my Adidas suit, I got my Lees, I got my Cadillac, I got my Mercedes-Benz, I got my glasses, I got my hat, I got my Kangol. Some of these young brothers said, yo, I went and got a GED. I went and got a GED just so I could stand on my corner and say that I have it all. So that's the influence. I rhymed about my glasses. T's for doing it all of the time. M's for the rhymes that are on mine. C's for cool ass can be. And Run would say, why you wear those glasses? I go, so I can see. I didn't wear them to be cool. I didn't wear them to make a fashion statement. I wore them because I needed them. But my influence was to all of those other people that was in the same situation as me. And that's when things start to change. The proof is in the pudding. She said it when she introduced me. No curls, no braids, PZ head and still get paid. I am one of the reasons why Yeezys can be made. We did a round about sneakers. Why do you think rappers getting deals? Because of me running J did. And that wasn't the intent. It wasn't the intent to be rich and famous. It was to have an influence on our people. So my question to the young people, yes, we can influence the very influential things that are there instead of complaining about, I don't like this song. Do something about it. All of you people, all of you young people, all of you diverse people in there from the same area have something to offer. And when we did the sneaker record, we did a record about our sneakers. We didn't call Adidas. Don't get it twisted, y'all. I ain't thirsty like that. I ain't calling Adidas, give me a deal. We did the record because we knew we had the power and Adidas called me. So when we did that, it wasn't just about what hip hop was doing. We didn't just change music, we changed marketing. We changed communication, we changed advertising. So all of you young people, if you just have the guts to utilize one positive creative ability that you have, instead of following to be cool and listen to the same records everybody listens to and dance like everybody else, bring something different, because then you will see things change in your community. Yes. I come from an era of hip hop. The way hip hop is now, as successful as Run DMC is and has been, if Run DMC was to happen right now, there would be a gazillion Run DMCs running around. But we come from a generation, and don't get it twisted, y'all, me and Chuck D, we elders now, but we didn't change the world when we were grown-ass men. We changed the world when we were young men. So in my generation, Run DMC had their responsibility of influence, Chuck D had their responsibility of influence, De La Soul had their responsibility of influence, Rakim, the God MC. That's a big responsibility to be the God MC. Rakim had enough respect for y'all, knowing about his influence, that I know him. My cousins rolled with Rakim's crew. They were the crew that would go into the diner with ski masks on and rob everybody. Put the money in the bag. If you look at me, we're going to shoot you. But when Rakim got on that microphone in front of the world, and the world was looking at him as the God and see, he knew his influence. So he did something very simple and powerful. You know how he influenced this hip-hop thing? He said, I used to roll up. This is a hold-up. But now I learn to earn because I'm righteous. And just by him saying it, he didn't say you're wrong for being in the gang, and you're wrong for selling drugs. He just spoke it. And all the little shorties and stick-up kids was like, oh, the God MC said we don't have to do stick-ups no more. We don't have to do stick-ups no more. We don't have to disrespect our black women. We don't have to use profanity. We don't have to act like ignorant fools just to impress people and say we're down with hip-hop, because like Chuck D said, we are all better than that. What's the influence of hip-hop? You are, and me and Chuck is waiting for y'all to realize that.
I got a question for you two gentlemen. What do you think would be an essential factor to the development of minority cities and towns that are struggling from poverty and violence?
One good thing that happens today is that we assembled here in this hall together and as a school. There was a time, and this is how rap came about, especially in this city, in New York and Long Island. They didn't want students to get together and be in assemblies. They didn't want elders, especially celebrities, speaking to student bodies, because there was a whole bunch of excuses in the 80s. We don't want to get the kids together because there's going to be fights or there's going to be all kinds of havoc going on in the school. So for a long period of time, you didn't have older people or even celebrities at that particular time able to talk directly to young people. They stopped doing assemblies. A lot of the teachers even remember when they were coming up in the schools in Long Island, New York, they don't remember many assemblies. When I came through Roosevelt in the 70s, not only did we have assemblies where students got together, but they also had concerts in the middle of the daytime. Matter of fact, when they said, okay, we're going to go to the auditorium and see a concert, everybody's like, whoa, can't wait to get there, boy. And they would have that. So in the 80s, they stopped doing assemblies. This is where rap music took over, where, okay, ain't nobody going to talk to me, so I'm going to follow a record talking to me. I'm going to get that direct communication from somebody I'm looking at or listening to. And this was very influential, but also around the whole country in black and brown communities. They stopped assembling students together because of fear and also because of stigmas of violence and all these other things. You don't stop getting students together because you have a fear of what will happen when you get students together. You get people who will talk to the students who actually know their accountability and responsibility, and not to talk about how great we are, but how great you are and what you can be. We already have established ourselves. The whole thing, it ain't about us, it's about y'all. And this is something that they're starting to find out around the country. Like, we better figure out how we can have more assemblies together. But also, one thing y'all can check out, when you check out your parents and you check out teachers, they don't assemble themselves in the community like they used to. Back in the day, they used to have town halls where everybody used to get together and try to figure it out. So they have a problem of getting together. So basically, you know, what this is about across the country, we need communities that they can look at and say, oh, look what they're doing in Roosevelt. We could do it too. Once upon a time, Roosevelt and Hempstead and Freeport and Uniondale on Long Island and also parts of Queens, they were the towns that the whole country looked at and said, yo, they got it happening out there. Not only do they have their schools and they figuring out how to not have the gangs, but they got all hip-hop artists are coming from there too. And from a Rakim and a Run DMC, we go to places like Gary, Indiana, St. Louis, Missouri, Los Angeles, and all the little towns in Texas, and they be like, look, we are listening and following. We want to be great like y'all are in Roosevelt and Hollis. We want to get our communities together. But that didn't come because of the state government. That didn't come because of the cities. That didn't even happen because of the towns. It happened because the music was setting a principle and setting people free. And people like, yo, I want to go to Roosevelt. I'm like, when you go to Roosevelt, it's a square mile, you're going to be in and out real quick. But people all over the world want to come to Hollis and Roosevelt because of the examples that rappers were setting in their music to be accountable to their community. That changed, and that's a whole other story right there. But I'm saying that sometimes I think that adults need to assemble a lot more. The students are assembled right in this room. I don't know if y'all gonna be together after they say, all right, class, the school is dismissed. But y'all see each other every day. How many adults look at each other every day? So it's about y'all. It ain't about us, it's about y'all. And when people come to the stage, they gotta be able to give y'all what y'all need so y'all will actually know that what to tell somebody younger. I say this as the last point, is that don't never think that you're too young. Because you're older than somebody. So if you feel that somebody's not talking to you, you gotta ask yourself a question, well, who am I talking to? How many of y'all got younger brothers and sisters? Now, you don't want them in your lane, do you? You be like, look, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Because you feel like you earned something. Every year you feel like you earned something. And if your younger brother or sister or sibling or somebody young on the block is all in your lane, you be like, yo, mom, they ain't even earned the right for me. I'm like 16 and they like 12 and they think they're grown. This happens right throughout life. And so if you feel that you're not being communicated to, ask yourself a question. How much am I communicating to somebody younger than me? That's how it all starts. You have a lot of older people who are afraid to talk to younger people. They are afraid of y'all. So this helps break the ice of communication in the school, and that's why we thank the administration and the school for at least starting this off and bringing this age to fruition.
So much value in this room alone. So if there's so much value in this room, imagine what's out there in our whole communities. To answer your question, it's just like Chuck D said, we came together. Me against you. My gang against your gang. Me fighting you. This girl in this class against that girl in that class because she likes the boy that he liking this and that. Hip-hop made us realize something. We are stronger when we come together and pull our abilities together. We all got different talents, but if we put our abilities together, we create something that has value, and then that value becomes wealth. Plain and simple, how do we do it and rid all of this poverty? The perfect example is what happened over 50 years ago with hip-hop. Like 50 years ago, it used to be 45, I think Johnny Juice says it's 72, a couple of people told me 71. But you gotta understand something. It started with the music. We took our music to the streets of New York City because there was nothing but death, destruction, and despair and darkness around us. And we wanted to show the world that, y'all know that saying here, so he makes beautiful music. We all got some beautiful music in us. So we took it to the streets of New York City. And this would be a perfect example for y'all. To not complain, because everything that you have, you already have. You just need somebody. You need to realize that you have it. So we didn't have any resources. To come out of poverty, you need resources. Resources is things like real estate and money. Because the money could buy you the real estate. This building is a resource. You could put a school in it, you could put apartments in it, you could put condos in it, you could put a Target in it. And then create more wealth and value in it. So we didn't have none of that, or so we thought. So we wanted to play our beautiful music for the world to hear, not expecting to get rewarded for it, but we had to figure it out. So this is where the whole idea of education comes in, because a couple of brothers and sisters paid attention in class, or read books, and paid attention to what stuff was going on. We bring all this electronic equipment to the middle of the park. Turntables, records, speakers, extension cords. And we put all of our equipment together, but now we standing there looking dumb and stupid because you need electricity to make all this happen. So one smart kid who pays attention says, yo, go home and get me a screwdriver. And we look at that young kid and say, man, what the hell we gonna do with a screwdriver? We trying to play our beautiful music so the world can hear it. So he was just like, man, just go home and get the screwdriver. So, okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, here you go. We get a kid the screwdriver, right? What happens? He walks over, y'all see them, they still exist. The light pole. He walks over to the bottom of the light pole and he pops the bottom out, and inside there was a plug. The whole neighborhood was, oh shoot, there's a plug in there. So working together, we hooked up our extension cords because we had to get the electricity from the light pole over there. So all of you kids, you go home and get an extension cord, you go get an extension cord, you go get an extension cord, and together we hooked up our extension cords so we could plug it in and play the music. So we turn the music up real loud, people know this is a beautiful thing. And to answer your question, you know how we get rid of the poverty? Somebody paid attention and said, hey, that thing that they're doing in the park, I'll give you some money to come inside and do that. So now the DJs go inside. And you gotta understand something with hip-hop. Hip-hop doesn't exclude. You ain't gotta rap. Why? You don't need to rap because you can play the music. And if you can't rap and play the music, then you can dance. So then there was this financial advancement for a lot of us. And don't never get jealous of anybody neither. Because at first everybody's standing around mad at the DJs because they getting paid to play the music that they was playing free in the park. But hip-hop doesn't exclude you. Remember I said, don't be ashamed of what's inside of you. Hip-hop asked you the question. Hold up, don't get mad. Yeah, the DJs are getting money. Hip-hop started with the music. If there's no DJ, it's not hip-hop, y'all. I want you young people to know it. You can't call it hip-hop. If there's a rapper on stage just rapping to the track, he's just rapping to the track. It's not hip-hop unless the DJ's there playing the music. So hip-hop says, we want to include you. So hip-hop is just asking you, what can you do? Right, Chuck? In our age coming up, if you could draw, you was the coolest dude on the block that could draw. If you could finger paint, you was the coolest dude on the block. So not knowing your own value, a couple of dudes said, yo man, I like poetry. A couple of young boys and girls said, yo, I like poetry. You know how hip-hop began? Universal Records didn't make it. Def Jam didn't make it. Motown Records, none of these records. Y'all made, I don't talk your passage, y'all make hip-hop. So hip-hop said, put that poetry to that music. And that's what we did. So now we're rapping to the music of the DJs, and then somebody said, come on, let's put that on a record. So then they put it on a record. So now the DJs and the MCs is rapping, getting money, and there's a bunch of people standing on the outside looking in, thinking they can't participate, thinking they can't get money. So hip-hop said, oh, no, I have a question for y'all. Me and Chuck D, we're just a personification of hip-hop. What could you do? A couple of those brothers and sisters said, yo, man, when I hear that MC rapping to the DJ's beat, my feet feel like moving. I just feel like dancing. And you know how powerful you are? Y'all come up with stuff like, yeah, I want to dance and spin on my head. Imagine how that sounds right now. Hey, Mom, I want to dance and spin on my, I don't want to dance like Fred Astaire. I don't want to be like Ben Vereen. I want to dance and spin on my head. So hip-hop says, that's possible. But you got a problem. And this is all about resources and wealth and poverty. You got a problem. You see the stage, young people? We didn't have those. We didn't have this at our beck and calling, so we had to figure it out. So that same kid who paid attention, and this is what's important about paying attention, because information is just education. That same kid said, we need a dance floor. We need a stage, but you ain't got no real estate, you ain't got no money. The same kid who asked for the screwdriver, he did it again. He said, yo, go home and get me some scissors. Dude, I want to dance and spin on my head. What in the hell I'm going to do with some scissors? Man, just go give me the scissors. Okay, Mr. Sporty Pants, here's your scissors. You know what this kid did to all of us? Because you got to be involved with this. We got to be involved together. Yo, go get those cardboard boxes over there. That's at the grocery store. Took the scissors, we cut them up, we placed them on the floor. Now we have a dance floor. Now we can dance and spin on the head. Then what happens? Somebody driving behind, stop the car, stop! Stop! You guys are incredible, you're dancing and spinning on your head. I want to pay you to come dance for me. Y'all know who the Jabberwockies are, right? Shaq danced with them and stuff like that. They used to dance on corners on card blocks. Do you know Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Cher, Elton John? They have a thing called a residency in Vegas. And if you don't know what a residency is, a residency means instead of you touring the nation from city to city and town to town to get a lot of money, you go to Vegas, they put you in the best hotel in Vegas, and 5 times a week you go downstairs in the hotel, you do what you do, and then you go back upstairs and they pay you a lot of money. The Jabberwockies have a residency in Vegas. So it's like Chuck said, education, coming together, put the young people together, because that's when miracles happen. And y'all don't need to be ashamed of he's a better rapper than me, or he looks better than me, or this and that. Because matter of fact, y'all, I want to tell you, we don't need no more rappers. We need more leaders of the companies that sign the rappers. We need more lawyers that represent the rappers. Hip-hop, I'm a rapper. You can get more money than me by being my manager or my lawyer. So we gotta look at what we're doing in our communities that people think ain't worth nothing, and then we become the vehicles to get the value to start bringing in the dollars. And that's all we did. That's how PE is sitting worldwide iconic. Like other rapper guys are just other rap guys. Oh, he got a good record, he's dating he got a lot of money, he drives a car. But PE, Run DMC, Eric B. and Rakim, and let's not forget, hold up, the dudes always seem to take over stuff. Let's not forget the beautiful women of hip-hop. Queen Latifah. Why is there no women with Queen in front of their name? Fully clothed. MC like Bahamadia. And one of the greatest MCs, better than 99% of all the dudes out now, Moni Love. And if you don't know who she is, go listen to her. So everything that we're doing in our communities by coming together creates a vast bulk of wealth and opulence for all of us, but we gotta come together. I realized from day one that we have a responsibility for each other, and our relationships are not just defined by flesh and blood. I remember when I was little, Chuck's mother was my mother. My next door neighbor's mother was my mother. everybody, it was a community where I didn't just get in trouble by my parents. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a thing where we were bad kids. That's an example of us looking out for each other. If Miss Justice was home and my mother wasn't, she got an eye on me. She trying to make sure I'm all right and this and that. So now when I come into hip hop, you know, they call me a pioneer, they call me a legend, but I don't consider myself a pioneer and a legend in the sense of just because of what I've done as a famous person. I realized all the dudes before me were the gangbangers and drug dealers and the stick-up kids, and then they started making records saying that we don't have to do this. Plain and simple, we looked out for each other and gave each other the information necessary to do something other than what was dragging us down. So for me, what I do now is I go into the group homes, I go into the juvenile detention centers, I go into the high schools, I go into the colleges, and I even go into the middle and elementary schools. I don't look down on my young people because I see the potential that's inside of them. So for me, I know there's a responsibility to represent and keep it real, this hip hop culture to the fullest extent, because people tell me that, yo, your music saved my life. Your music showed me something that I didn't know exists. So sometimes, like today, me and Chuck turn the music off and we use the microphone for something other than to talk about how good we are rapping and, you know, how famous we are. Chuck, you won't remember this. We was on tour. It was 1988. I think we was in Hampton, Virginia. Run DMC, EPMD, Public Enemy, Eric B. and Rakim, and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Big shout out to Will Smith. Y'all know who Will Smith is, right? Well, look at that advancement and transformation. But we was all on tour, and I remember at the time, Rakim was on stage. Public Enemy, Will Smith, Run DMC, and EPMD, we standing there watching Rakim going, man, we can't do that. But that was very inspirational. And then Chuck D said, we got into to talk about how great this hip hop is. Yeah, hip hop's getting a lot of money. Running them got us getting sneaker deals. We doing movies. We selling records. You know, we went from playing parks to theaters, and now we're selling out stadiums and coliseums. And I always remember Chuck D saying this. He said, "What's the most important thing?" And Chuck, I think he was like 21. He was young, and he was like, "I'm a man, damn it." I was impressed by that. At 21. Let's look around the world now. Look around hip hop, you young people. You don't see no 21-year-olds carrying themselves like they're men. But the conversation came up. I heard Chuck do two things and it flabbergasted me. Chuck said, "I'm a man, damn it." I was like, "You're only 21, man. You see a kid. You know, smoke weed, get high, go to parties and stuff like that." And Chuck said the most powerful thing about this hip hop thing. Chuck said, I'll never forget the day. Chuck said the most powerful thing about this hip hop thing is the power of communication. There's always a mic in front of us. We always doing interviews. We on TV. You gotta use that to, yo, Chuck D, how you doing? Don't say my album's coming out. They'll find that out. Say something so those people that look up to you will leave with something that will empower them. So what I do is I turn the microphone off and I go sit at schools, high schools, group homes and stuff like that. And then I always get this question. DMC, why you don't have a reality show like all other rappers? Now, that being said, more power to them. I respect them. But I don't want a screen separating me from y'all. I think this is more important, whether y'all know it or not, all of you young people in this room, me and Chuck was part of your purpose and destiny. When you was born, it was your destiny to meet two old school rappers. This was part of your life plan, because if me and Chuck did what we did in our lives, imagine what you can do. So we gotta show up and we gotta talk to them. And that's what we do.
Everybody comes from the same community, but every time y'all see an athlete, 99% of the time, that lead and that TV got them in check. They know They could be wilding out or whatever, but before they get on that microphone, they know they gotta be accountable for what they say. You know, you're owner to what you say. Or no, you're an owner to what you don't say, but you're a slave to what you do say. So you have to, whatever you're thinking, before you get on this microphone and talk to, whether it's 1 or 1 million people, because everything on the internet is out there. And what we could go off and say the worst things today, and trust me, it'll be all over the world. So don't think that, oh yeah, you know, like a bunch of old school rappers, you know, got on there and talked today. No, it's about staying the course and saying the right thing, because we're in generations different. We have to say the right thing when we have the mic. We know that accountability and their responsibility. Just like every athlete that y'all think is your favorite, it could be Odell Beckham Jr., but when he get on the mic, he ain't wilding out. The NFL got him in check. The NBA got everybody in check. LeBron on down. They know when they get on the mic, they got to be able to say the right thing, because if they say the wrong thing, everybody got it on blast. So it's the same thing with y'all. I mean, assemblies and getting together should almost happen like every month, if not every 2 weeks, where everybody who y'all see on TV, who y'all got popping off on your social media, they should be able to talk to y'all directly so they can get rid of the myth. So y'all can say, this is real and this ain't real. And also, here's another thing. Everybody is intelligent because people are gifted in different ways. So don't feel that you dominate somebody else. Don't feel that, okay, if they out there getting this money is not going to be the thing that's going to make or define you. It's to be made anyway. It's like grass. You get it, you find your way in the middle of it, and you make it. That's not going to define your life. You always going to need it. So you got to make sure that you are equipped to always get it when you need it. And then you got to spread it. That's how it works. But just don't think that because you're sitting listening to us today, you got to get it in all one shot. It ain't going to happen like that. Some things you hear today, 10 years from now, you're going to be like, damn, yeah, wow, yeah. They came to my school and they dropped jewels, and I got it 10 years later. Back in the 1970s, when I came to the same school, in the same building, I was sitting back, they talking on the stage, I'm like, whatever, I'm listening, I'm kind of half listening, and then 5, 10 years later, I'm like, oh, or I might see some of those people on TV. When I grew up here, the #1 basketball player in the world was Dr. J, Julius Erving. And when Dr. J, they used to, matter of fact, you go back so far in this town, it's called Julius Erving Boulevard, Nassau Road now. And they used to have Church's Chicken up there, and now it's another hotel up there. But I remember one time, Dr. J, he's #1 basketball player in the world. Like y'all looking at LeBron right now, some of y'all like Westbrook, some of y'all like Kyrie Irving, but just think, the #1 basketball player in the world, up there on Nassau Road, and me and my boys, we sit at the next table over, and they behind us. Every time Dr. J got on the microphone, he represented Roosevelt without saying Roosevelt. And if Dr. J said the wrong thing, we know that we'll start shrinking in our seats and feeling bad. That was the accountability that we got growing up in this town. I grew up down the street from Eddie Murphy and Charlie Murphy. We're right there, they live down on Clinton. I'm saying what I don't like, and this is what Brothers Keepers is about. Brothers and Sisters Keepers. We all a human family. And I don't like divisions. And hip hop is not about divisions. Black History Month is very important to signify, yes, we are black people in the United States of America, because they are twisted to say, y'all got this degree of black blood, so y'all black, so we got to know who we are. But the separation of us in our neighborhoods, black and brown or whatever, we the human family of color. The division in our own neighborhoods has to stop when we learn about each other, or we learn about a parent, or, oh, okay, you from Ecuador and you from Newark. Okay, y'all the same. Okay, this person grew up in a family household and they speak Espanol in a family household. That's not to be laughed at. Those people are learning 2 languages. That the more language we learn, the more we could be important around the world. It's the world that's important. So this place in Roseville is a beautiful, beautiful place when it brings everybody together. Hip hop is a universal language that's taught the whole world. So now we come together, we listen. You're not all going to get any information and education on one shot. A bunch of old school guys talking to y'all about you though. It's about you. The beginnings with you. And then once it becomes you, then what are you going to do? You got to share it with your loved ones. You share it with your community. Whatever community you move to, you share with. It doesn't hold, and it's not about stacking up just you and your individual self. You know, I got my man Drew and Fred, so I've been working with these guys 40 years. And they're here in Roosevelt all the time. I come back every once a month, you know, check on my grandchild and things like that, and just keep it moving around the rest of the world. But you are a very important place, and I wish that every high school could do this every month or every 2 weeks. There's a lot of fear out there bringing young people together. And whoever you see out there, they can't be afraid of you. In sports, they bring youth together because the leagues are strong, and they say, and they tell the players, get on out there and talk to the community. And if you don't, you're getting fined $250,000 if you say the wrong thing. Hip hop ain't got that. But we hold it in check all the time. And we just tell somebody, look, if you're 36 years old, or how old is Cardi right now? Cardi's like what? 27? And was it Nicki mad at her? How old is Nicki? Nah. Let me get one age. 34, 41, 36. They old. Y'all listen. Y'all are 16, 17, 15, 14. They're being played on Hot 97 and Power 106 who say like what? We playing the music for what? New York, right? But at the same time, they'll tell people, well, our demographics, meaning that the people that listen to them are all the teenagers. So here you playing grown old folks, and you old. How old is your favorite DJ? 41, 42, 37.
Think about that, y'all.
46. Look. If they 46 and 41 and 35 and 34, and they talking to y'all, should they be talking with y'all, or should they be talking down to y'all, or should they be talking up to y'all? They know that they gotta deliver to y'all, but at the same time, how often do you see them in your face? So this is the key thing. This is the key thing. If older people are going to be playing the music and doing the music or whatever, then they should just admit that we just doing it for older people. We ain't doing it for younger people. Then the radio station should be straight out and saying, oh, we not playing music for younger people. Teenagers, we ain't relating to them. This ain't for them. This is all adult. This artist is 37 years old. They about popping in the club. If you ain't old enough to get in the club, then what is the club music for you for? You ain't old enough to get in the club. Matter of fact, many of you young men, y'all ain't gonna get into the club till y'all 23. So they kind of talking to y'all to sell y'all on it. But one thing they didn't understand, young people ain't buying no records no more. My daughter, who's 25 years old, I told her, I said, you gonna go buy that album? And she looked at me and started laughing. This was 10 years ago. She said, I'm buying no music. But buying into the culture is believing the culture. So what these courses, what these seminars, what these assemblies are about, it should be getting rid of the hype and getting rid of the boundary. What's true and what's not true. And it's nothing worse than seeing a bunch of older people tricking young people. That's not cool. You gotta be honest with young people. Say, yeah, you wanna get here, but it ain't your time yet. But this is boom, boom, boom. This is in your lane. And when it comes to being in your lane, then you gotta be ready for it. That's what education is about. It prepares you for the future so you don't get your head knocked off. Right. Everybody got their phone attached to them. What you go to your phone for? And I leave this on this note. Everybody got one, right? If you got a phone, put your hand in the air. This is the millennium, right? If somebody cut off your phone service, that probably make you mad, right? That's the time we live in. You can say everything is cut off except for your phone. Are you using it for a toy or is it a tool? The more you use it for a tool and you put your education to it, the more it will work for you in the future since you attach to it. If it's just a toy, then it will be on top for you. So I'm just saying, education got to have the 4 basics, right? 4 basics. How many of y'all know Stephen A. Smith? Stephen A. Smith is from Howard, grew up with DMC. He's on TV and on radio all day long, all the time. He's been fired about 5 times, right? Stephen A. Smith will never ever be out of the job. You know why? Y'all know why? Because he writes well. He's been a sports writer in Philadelphia, and he started there for 20 years. He writes well. If you write well, you will never ever be jobless. Here's number 2. In order to write well, you gotta read. Now, you might not get a book, but what you're reading on your phone gotta be at least more than text messages and misspelled text messages and emojis and all that. This is why, older people use Twitter and older people on Facebook, because Instagram just shows pictures. It sort of gets close sometimes to like cave wall dwellings. Like you're in a cave, you start drawing a horse and to read and to write, even if you're reading on your phone, just read something that will be like nutritious. We know we do junk food reading. You know what junk food is, right? Older people can't deal with junk food for long. Younger people, you could eat junk food, whatever, we can name the names. I'm saying that reading and writing, and if you can read and write in more than 1 languages, you're gonna be good to go. Okay? The other 2 things, math, learn something about math. You can't short on math. And you gotta learn a little bit about science too. Why? Because if you learn about science, you won't be fooled with mythology. When you learn a little bit about science, you won't be like, whoa, that plane, man, up in the air, yo, and I don't even know how I'll be doing that. You can go to your phone and be like, how does a plane fly? I know Wikipedia is whack sometimes, but how does a plane fly? And they'll explain to you. And if you know how to read, the next thing we're reading is what? Comprehension. These are all the things you learn right here. And you know what? In closing, this is the best time of your life. Because after you leave here, you're going to have to pay for education. Hello? You're going to have to reach deep in your pocket and pay for what you ain't got. So appreciate your teachers. And don't be afraid to ask your teachers questions. We know sometimes they be tired of looking at like not today. Because they got a load of parenting that they got to do sometimes for what parents just don't do. So while you're here, you're only here for a short bit, ask your teachers questions that might linger along with you, and it'll take you a long way. Don't be afraid of them. And they sure not afraid of you. But when you get out there in the world, there's going to be a lot of places afraid of you. And you're going to try to get education, you better dig deep in your pocket. So get it now. So whether you heard anything else that we said up here, we said you in the sweet spot right now. And when you get to 18 years old, and this is another thing about society, people in a rush to get grown from 12 to 18. Can't wait till I get grown. Can't wait till I go to the jump wall. Can't wait till I go to the fire festival. And when they turn 18 to 30, then they want to be kids again. Once you turn 18 in this country, that little jump, you did some foolishness, they should take you right to jail. And jail is another whole life that they don't seem to let young people know. If it was up to me, I'll let somebody from jail come to school once a month and tell their story. Not just the famous person, every month have somebody come straight from jail and speak right here and talk. It looks right in front of people and say, yeah, you want to take it there? When you come up in our spot at 18 years old, all puffed out, we're going to puff you back down. So these are the things. You're in a sweet spot right now. Get what's here. Exhaust your resources. Use your phone as a tool as much as you can. We know it's going to be a toy. And just try to understand that this is accountability of older people to young, just like y'all should be accountable to people younger than yourself.
All right.